Phoebe Eastwood here, and in this episode I'm chatting with Sam, aka Comrade Fatso. You've probably seen him on The Week, which is a political satire program which he produces. So I'm going to chat with him today about his sort of journey to becoming this persona known as Comrade Fatso, and he's here with me now. So thank you, Sam, for coming and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for coming through to Motor Republic.
Pleasure. So I've been fascinated as to how Comrade Fatso came into being. I've known you for a number of years, and you started off as this sort of St. George's schoolboy here in the world, and then here you are being Comrade Fatso. So I'd like to know about how you.
I don't know. Yeah, I find it interesting. There's like the persona Comrade Fatso. I don't think I ever had like this big kind of master plan to becoming Comrade Fatso and this like inception phase of when I I think it definitely has been. It's been more, it's been more of a journey. I was always, even at high school, I loved words. I mean, I think my favorite classes were kind of English and Shona. And at school was already getting involved in different forms of activism, be it kind of anti-prefects activism, challenging the hierarchy. To also, when I was at school, I was writing letters to the editor, like the Zimbabwe Independent, about the political situation. I did my first demonstration when I was 17. I think still wearing my St. George's outfit.
Very cool.
When Choto and Chapunduka, the journalists, were taken and beaten by the military. And I remember going and joining a protest by lawyers outside Parliament where we got tear gassed. And tear gas was quite a familiar smell because I'd gone to Alex Park for primary school and we were next to UZ, so we always got the tear gas.
Yeah, where they always used to love pelting those students with tear gas.
Right,
Okay.
So, and then I did university in the UK and France, and I think I always knew I wanted to do uni outside of Zim.
Yeah.
To get a different perspective on things, be it South Africa or the UK, and so I did 3 years in the UK, 1 year in France, studying English Lit, French, and social and political thought. And while I was out there, also got involved in a lot of activism out there, anti-war activism, grassroots media, and at the same time, just really developed a love for like dub poetry from
because you used to do that
Jamaica.
Beat poetry.
Well,
didn't you? That you used to perform that.
So that's also like, when I finished uni, I knew I wanted to come back to Zim and be part of the struggle for change here, and really to be involved in arts and in activism here and trying to bring about that change. And so when I came back, spoken word was was my passion at the time, and performed a lot of spoken word poetry. Wanted to kind of create a style that was African, that was street, that was revolutionary. So performed a lot at Book Cafe, ran the open mic sessions there, built a band around that, and we ended up touring a lot on the continent and Europe and the US. And I had very kind of revolutionary music, kind of mixing up hip hop and sangura. Had a lot of fun with that. Toured a lot of festivals. Did a lot of our album was deemed anti-government, and so we were blacklisted from a lot of state radio and TV.
Yes.
And at the time, also, I was involved in a lot of youth activism. So working with social movements, with youth movements, all the way through to like the women's movement at the time, Waza. So I got the nickname. I got the nickname Farai when I was at St. George's.
I remember that, yes.
And they said your name is Farai because Farai, my boy. Your name is Farai because you hang out with, you're happy to hang out with black people, because most of my friends were at St. George's were black. And then getting involved back in the struggle here, the slang for Farai is Fatso.
Okay, that's what comes from. I never knew that.
The slang for Farai is Fatso.
Okay.
And when you're in the struggle here, everyone calls each other comrade in the democratic struggle. So it just became Comrade Fatso. It's like, it's like, all right,
I'll go
with that.
I'll take that. Okay, very cool.
So that's, I mean, you know, maybe if there's a persona, that's kind of how it came about.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember just before the coup, that was not a coup, that your offices were being raided at that time by the police. And I think everyone was under a lot of pressure, and I think some people even went into hiding, maybe even yourself.
Yeah.
And then what happened? The coup then seemed to happen in this time frame, and then they all just disappeared. The police, I mean, the whole thing seemed to suddenly stop. Literally overnight.
Yes, I mean, so what happened? Yeah, what happened there was our Magamba TV producer at the time, who was producing one of our satire shows, Martha O'Donovan.
That's right, Martha.
Yeah, she got arrested and accused of trying to overthrow a constitutionally elected government.
Yeah.
They locked her up in Chikurubi, maximum security prison. They raided our offices, confiscated all our laptops, accusing us of also trying to subvert the government. And this all happened the day when tanks were rolling into town. So yeah, I mean, I slept in a safe house that night, woke up the next morning, turned on the TV, and there's a general on TV saying this is, you know, this is not a coup, this is a military assisted transition, and we're kind of like, you know, guys, those charges from yesterday about trying to overthrow a constitutional government, I think the army maybe beat us to it. Should we get back to doing our shit? So we did. We got back into the studio, shot a brand new episode of the week called This Is Not a Coup. So yeah, I guess we lived to have the last laugh in that one.
Yeah. And what do you feel is the craziest thing that you've kind of lived through so far with what you do?
Craziest thing I've lived through. I mean, that's probably what that's.
I mean, that's pretty crazy. Maybe that might be it.
That's probably. I would say that's probably. Yeah, that's probably.
From one extreme to another.
The craziest period. Going through that period for us of like November 2017, where November's like the anniversary month for Magamba. We started in 2007 November, so 2017 was our 10-year anniversary, so like big plans, but obviously the government had even bigger plans for us. And so it went through this month of intense kind of repression and fear, straight into this process of like, you know, euphoria and jubilation, and because as soon as, you know, we were kind of also like mobilizing in the streets and had all our teams of citizen journalists of Open Pali out there and shooting episodes of the week, and in Africa Unity Square mobilizing with social movements
so
like
much going on.
Citizens Manifesto, and organizing big concerts, and we put on this event called the Impeachment Party when Parliament were, you know, debating whether to impeach. And so when the news came through that Bob had resigned, I mean, that was a massive street party.
It was. People
all
were
over the city.
Jubilant.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So, in all your experiences that you've had over this period of 15 years, more than, what have you found is the most interesting thing about human nature? Would you say, if you reflect back on
the most interesting thing about human nature?
Or surprising, something that, like a deep learning you feel you've taken away from all these years of dealing with very incredible people, whether in the government or within your team.
In the government, that's incredible in the sense of unbelievable.
And, you know, you have these extreme characters. You have people who are highly interested in oppression, and people who are highly interested in freedom. And there's probably like a mix of strange people in between. So
highly interested in themselves.
So what do you think, if you think about all those things, do you recognize about human nature?
I think for me, one of the most important things that, you know, I think that keeps me going, and also that kind of is the, you know, motivates our team here at Magamba. It's very much kind of like the, you know, the blood that pumps through us. I think it's so much based on the importance of creativity and humor. I think that's super important for us to keep ourselves motivated. I think on the one hand for me it's always been important to be like, I am a creative, I'm an artist, and always to come up with new creative and innovative ways of doing shit.
Right.
And of approaching this problem, and trying to inspire other young people to also be involved in the struggle for a better Zimbabwe, and using those kind of creative and artistic means to do it.
To do that, yeah.
But also having a sense of humor, not taking yourself too seriously.
This is the thing. It's like
just take the piss and fucking just have a laugh.
Because humor's got that wonderful way of kind of identifying the truth, at the same time as taking out some of that heaviness from it, which can be sort of disarming. Sometimes that the cold, hard truth can be very difficult to kind of digest, and humor's got that way of making it palatable and like, okay, I can handle this truth. When it's put in that way.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think humor really helps to, to break down what happens on a day to day. Break it down in a way that's relatable to people, and they can laugh at it and they can think about it at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So on that note then, and to kind of finish up, what do you think is the most helpful thing for Zimbabweans to do to try and kind of move forward from this stagnant pool that we find ourselves in at the moment?
I think that the most important thing is, I think we need to realize the power that people can have when they work together collectively. I think we get so atomized in everyday society, and we get caught up in our own hustle and our own struggle. But ultimately, if we're going to force change to happen in Zim, then it has to come from people, from people working together, from community level and neighborhood level, from working across kind of the North and South Samora boundaries, from working across class divisions, and really working collectively to try and bring about that change in Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right, great. So if you would like to watch The Week, it comes out every Friday. You can look out for it on Magamba TV, which is on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. People tend to share it all the time as well. I'll certainly be sharing it, so it's easy to find, and it's really enjoyable if you want to know what's going on in this country, and sometimes we can keep our heads down and not look really around us too much. I promise you, Sam and his team will cover everything that you need to know. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.
Peace.
Thanks, Sam.
Cool.